Live here, 11 p.m., March 26th. This is Hannibal from the HannibalTV.com with my weekly Wrestling Observer newsletter review. On another note, I did post a video earlier today of the Ace Montana Teddy Hart gun incident that was related to an alleged domestic abuse situation that happened with Ted earlier today in Virginia. I did do a 1 hour interview with the guy that pulled the gun on him, Ace Montana, where he goes into extreme detail of everything about the situation before and after. So that's actually processing right now. It's going to be up probably sometime within the next 2 hours. That's a really unfortunate situation. And I guess that clip where you see Ted Hart having the actual gun pulled on him is he had already left and had been asked to leave, and then he came back. So that's when they had the camera out and the gun on him. I guess the camera was like tucked into the guy's overalls. So let's hope Ted can get some help. I do understand he has been arrested and he's back in jail right now, where he'll probably be held until his court date. At least on the bright side, at least Ted Hart's in jail during a crappy time where a lot of our freedoms are gone. I just read an article about the equivalent of a governor here in Ontario, our premier, said that he expects us to be down here until possibly July, which I hope they don't keep the border shut that long, because if they open the border, I would like to go to the U.S. side because I'm really sick of being here right now. So let me get into the Wrestling Observer newsletter. I'll get a ping 0.34 rating to NXT's 0.20. A lot of people said that was the worst AEW episode they've done yet. The NXT episode was better than the previous week, although a 0.2 rating is nothing great. In an interview I did with Vince Russo, he mentioned that we haven't seen any growth in the AEW or NXT ratings. They're stagnant. So that was a good point. Both AEW and WWE, according to the Observer, told wrestlers they don't have to come in if they don't want to. It's their own decision. They claim it won't affect their future bookings, but let's face it, I'm sure it wouldn't be looked happily upon if someone didn't actually come in if they were booked. I'm just saying that. Jerry Lawler was not used for the recent tapings. The WrestleMania tapings were also done, apparently, or they are being done right now. I guess due to his age, even though Vince McMahon, who's producing all of the shows, is actually older than Jerry Lawler. Regarding the reports that CM Punk might be used for WrestleMania, apparently, according to Dave Meltzer, Vince McMahon has no interest in doing business with him, and Paul Heyman is not pushing for him or anything. I mean, they have allowed him to work for WWE's backstage show on Fox, which I guess he makes one appearance for a month, and it hasn't really produced much ratings difference whether he's been on the show or not. So a surprise. I'll be honest, I'm sure they will eventually use Punk, because ratings are bad. Like this week's Raw rating was really low, the lowest rating of 2020. I'm sure they would eventually get desperate, and just to throw anything at the wall, I'm sure they would try Punk. Or as Meltzer reports, he could see them signing Punk just to keep him out of AEW, since they don't like people going to AEW. So we'll see. Meltzer also says that he doesn't see Alberto El Patron going back to WWE, even though Alberto is apparently telling people that he could be back by the summer. But people in the company are saying there's no truth to that story. Although if it was true, they would never say it, because we know that they'd rather things be a surprise. But apparently it's unlikely that he's telling the truth on that. WWE wrestlers are still making their downside guarantees, and I guess Rusev has pledged $20,000 to the people that work for production and security for WWE that are out of work right now due to this. Strowman recently say not to donate to people, not to donate to independent wrestlers losing work, from a guy that's never been an independent wrestler, started his career making at least, probably more, but at least $750 a week getting paid to train. Totally just because of his size. And he's been pushed lots, and he never really transcended beyond. He's beyond like a mid-carder. He's still really a mid-carder. His match with Tyson Fury in Saudi Arabia was one of the worst matches I've ever seen in my life. Razor from the AOP had surgery recently, and according to Meltzer, they're going to keep both of them out until he recovers. In AEW news, they've given up on the idea of running shows in front of fans until at least May 20th at the earliest. They're going to continue to tape matches on Wednesdays as long as they're allowed to do. So you never know. They are not announcing yet if Double or Nothing is still going to happen on May 23rd in Las Vegas. Chris Jericho canceled his April and May Fozzy dates. Arn Anderson, who works as an agent for AEW, said recently that at WrestleMania 32, when Sting wrestled Triple H, I guess Vince McMahon directed his announcers to encourage Sting in WCW, according to Anderson. In Japanese wrestling news, Korakuen Hall has now banned any spectators at events there for the time being, which is going to affect the independent companies that are still trying to put on because they really need the live ticket sales. Noah canceled the show today, from what I understand, but they are running a tag tournament right now. Renee Dupree, who wrestles for Great North Wrestling and is a two-time WWE Tag Team Champion, is actually teaming with Dr. Wagner Jr. in that Noah tag tournament. He made it over to Japan, although unfortunately Davey Boy Smith Jr. was not able to make it over, unfortunately, due to these border issues. So Renee is going to be there for a while, from what I understand. Canada, where they keep the liquor stores open as essential services but close the gym. I know people go through alcohol withdrawal, but people like me go through gym withdrawal. For Mexico, the state of Mexico has announced that all wrestling and boxing is suspended through at least April 20th. And in other wrestling news, Scott Armstrong has reported that his father, wrestling legend Bullet Bob Armstrong, who is 80, has a legitimate bone cancer issue, and he doesn't want to go through treatment. He just wants to let it take its course. He's still working out. In UFC news, they canceled their shows the rest of the month because they don't want to go against Donald Trump's orders of wanting groups to stay under 10 people by April 18th. Dana White has said that UFC 249 is still going to take place April 18th with a full card now, but it's still being kept quiet. As I reported earlier today, UFC lightweight champion John Jones was arrested earlier today on a DWI charge, as well as negligent use of a firearm, possession of an open container of alcohol, and driving without proof of insurance. I'm sure he's still going to be champion, and I'm sure he can afford to deal with those charges. For all this guy for the amount this guy parties, he's still an amazing fighter. I believe his only loss was a disqualification due to. So pretty impressive fighter considering I believe he tested positive for coke like shortly after one fight. And it's like, you were doing cocaine leading up to a fight? That's fucking amazing. You were partying up to a fight and you're still as dominant as you are. Endeavor, the parent company of UFC, announced they're laying off 250 employees. Several UFC fighters have also been let go this week. The May 9th Bellator event in San Jose is still going to happen. So there's the main notes I have from the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Obviously, not a big news week with so much canceled. Let me go through here. Damn shame about Teddy Almighty Ironhead 25 says, it is. It really is. That he went from, at the time he was signed by WWE, the youngest wrestler ever signed. But unfortunately, that got screwed up. Then he got another chance in the Florida Championship Wrestling days. That didn't work out. MLW didn't work out. And now this. So let's issues. Since his arrest, I guess there's been several issues that we go into with the good friend of his girlfriend in this hour-long interview that I did that's going to be up here in the next hour or so. Matt Hardy does crazy well, Brian Rose says. I heard his segment on AEW last night was bad. People are saying on here that Roman Reigns is out of WrestleMania. I haven't read that. I'll check that out when I'm done this. I don't know if that's true or not. George Tizaka says Braun Strowman is a douchebag. Typical Vince. Do I think UFC 249 is going to happen? Motor Sash asks. Yes, I do. Dana White will find somewhere for it to happen. GXLDEN Bala says hi from Brazil. Hello. You have beautiful, beautiful women over there. Gorgeous women. Sam Lenz, CM Punk bitch, exposed himself for the vanilla midget he is. Richard M says, does Rene Dupree live in Japan? No, he lives in New Brunswick, but he will be living in Japan for the time being. Wrestling for Noah. The Kid, Jay Bourne says they need to shut wrestling down. Devious 1MM. I just watched the movie Wrestling with My Family. Have I ever thought of doing a shoot with one of Paige's family members? Maybe, if I'm ever in the UK. I was supposed to be going to the UK in November, but it doesn't look like it's happening now due to this health situation. I didn't like that movie, by the way. I actually saw it as well. I didn't like it. It would have been good if they had showed the real Paige, but the Disney version of Paige that they showed was really lame. One thing they did show, though, was the guy that was the WWE head of talent relations guy. I forget the actor that played it. He was a known actor. He did a good job of showing how the agents and talent relations people are huge assholes in WWE overall. In my dealings with them, I mean, I know they go through a lot, but they're very dick-headed people overall, the ones I deal with. At least when you're an extra without a contract, they don't treat you. Been pulled from Saudi Arabia until further notice. Never heard about that yet. Why get rid of Teddy in New York? I don't think Teddy's allowed to leave Virginia. He's actually on house arrest. He has an ankle bracelet, so don't expect him out of Virginia anytime soon. Anyone know where we can see the Sweet Daddy Siki doc? No idea. That guy was literally one of the biggest assholes I ever met when I met him. His son was nice, who was with him at the time, but he was truly a dick to me. So I will never have anything good to say about him. Paige has lost all credibility. MRRED says, Anthony Shabbat says Vince Vaughn. Yes, Vince Vaughn played the WWE talent relations / and I believe he did that well. He did that well. From the ones that I've met, they act a lot like that. Mike Mercury, why did they make a movie about Paige's life? Well, they started production before all the controversial stuff happened, and The Rock produced the movie. The best part of the movie is The Rock was in it, and he cut a promo in it, and that's literally the best part of the movie. The rest leaves a lot to David San Martino, Total Disaster, says, yes, there would be, although I was told by someone before that he wants way more money than someone like him should be asking for. But they never gave me an exact figure. But I would interview him if he would go to a reasonable price for someone that does YouTube interviews. Ryan Peranto says, no talk about Reigns being out. Who do I think Goldberg's going to face? I'm going to have to look this up. I'll do another update after I look this up. It was not in the Wrestling Observer that literally just came out seconds before I read this. So that's news to me if he is out. P.S. Power says, sad to see Maria Maniac that way. She used to have a princess gimmick. Now she looks worn with a cigarette voice. She's only 22 but looks 45 or older. Teddy is 40 but looks 55. I don't think Ted looks, well, at least the last time I saw him, he didn't look 55. Not at all. And he's still a hell of an athlete. I don't know about now, but when he was, look up the match between Ted Hart and the Blood Hunter from Great North Wrestling, which was less than a year ago, and that was a pretty good match. I thought it was pointless making a movie about Paige. What did she accomplish? Well, she's made a lot of money in wrestling, so she accomplished that. Victor Murphy, what have I heard recently from Marty Jannetty? I've heard nothing. And it is somebody I would like to do an interview with again. That was one of my most enjoyable interviews. Total Disasters, have I ever met Dr. D? I did a whole shoot interview with him. Look it up here on YouTube. The first time I met him was for a shoot interview, which he was paid for. Then I met him again at the Cauliflower Alley Club last year, where I asked if he would do a short interview with me, and he said, let me get back to you on that. Then he avoided talking to me the rest of the Cauliflower Alley Club reunion. So he's a very money-oriented guy for sure. Brian Rose says, if Roman Reigns is out, it's probably because his immune system is low due to the leukemia. Okay, so I guess Patrick J is confirming this. Braun Strowman is probably replacing Roman Reigns. I'm going to look this up and do a custom post about it. What am I doing for weight training right now, Surrey Jack? Honestly, I didn't know how long this break was going to be. If it's going to be till the summer, I'm going to have to figure something out. But I never really took a break from weight training for a long time. So I have just been running every single night. My runs have actually been getting easier. My cardio is getting really good. But obviously, if we're going to be off till July, I don't want to go out and spend all this money on a home gym because I love the gym that I go to and all my friends are at the gym. I don't want to work out at home. I work a lot at this house editing, so I don't want to be fucking stuck here for my workouts too. So I'll avoid buying my own weights for as long as I can. So yeah, I'll look that up, guys, about the Roman Reigns, and I'll make another post about it if it's true, but I hadn't heard anything about it as of half an hour ago. So thanks for all your questions. Really appreciate